Hello, my name is Kiah, and this research is based upon the topic of domestic violence, women as victims versus men as victims. As tears fall from her face, she begins to sway. Love shouldn't hurt this way. That's a quote from Diana Rasmussen from Snow White Darkness. Statistics from DoSomething.org. Domestic or dating violence is a pattern of controlling behaviors which one partner uses to get power over the other partner. This could include any type of physical violence or threat of physical violence to get control, emotional, mental, or sexual abuse. 85% of domestic violence victims are women. 1/4 of women worldwide will experience domestic or dating violence in their lifetime. Women between the ages of 20 to 24 are at the greatest risk of becoming victims of domestic violence. Domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to women more than car accidents, muggings, and rapes combined. A half of all homeless women and children in the U.S. are fleeing from domestic violence. Research will be done to assess the difference between the perceptions of women as domestic violence victims versus how people perceive or view men as victims. The purpose of this study is to evaluate the concerns people show toward female domestic violence victims opposed to when men are the victims. It is a pattern of behavior used to establish power and control over another person through fear and intimidation, often including the threat and use of violence. It's a quote from Safe Horizon in 2015 regarding domestic violence. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, domestic violence is the third leading cause of homelessness among families. Victims usually face high rates of depression, sleep disturbances, anxiety, flashbacks, and other emotional distresses. In the 1700s, the boundaries, or what was solidified as physical harm, was very different than what we consider harm or violence against each other today. Hardwick mentions that although a 17th century woman was legally subject to her husband's discipline, wives themselves, as well as individuals and institutions in local communities, publicly negotiated the parameters of that discipline. That means that the wife had to agree to the boundaries of how far her husband can go to discipline her. She says that not only was this behavior accepted in those communities, but it was often that neighbors watched spousal abuse and sometimes intervened. In the years after the Catholic and Protestant reform, violence in the home became more private. Spouses did not publicize their violent acts towards each other. This brings it back to modern day society where domestic violence is mostly hidden in the secrecy of their home until someone speaks out. Who can be a victim? Anybody can be a victim. Women and men can both be victims of domestic violence, contrary to what most people believe. Men are victims of nearly 3 million physical assaults in the USA. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have experienced some type of violence by an intimate partner within their lifetime. This means that out of a group of 3 or 4 friends, it's a great chance that at least one of them will or has experienced some type of physical or abusive situation in their life. The symbolic interaction theory was created by Herbert Mead. It is a theory involving a role an issue has in society. According to the symbolic interaction theory, a man is related to a strong figure that is the head of the household. In modern society, this is false more than half the time. This statement can be false because often women can be the head of the household, or in some relationships, the responsibility is shared. This could play a factor in how the respect and power is shared in a relationship. If the woman or man is the dominant figure in the household, it creates a submissive role for the spouse to fill. In conclusion, the researcher believes that awareness should be raised for domestic violence across the board and not just for women, because men need awareness too. Thank you.